Alright, this is going to be a weekly recap for the 14th of February to the 18th, and I had a total of, let me just make sure, 9 trades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, yep, 9 trades. And I think to summarize this week, if I added a 0 to everything, that would be super nice. My biggest issue this week is that I did not follow my dollar risk level. Only 25% of my trades followed my dollar risk level, which means I was undersized in most of my positions, most of my trades, which is not a good thing. And, it doesn't help if I go through a bunch of trades that are undersized and then I take a full size, trade and it's a loser. I can't be letting that stuff happen. This was a pretty good week once again. I just need to really stick to my dollar risk level, and even considering the fact that I should be sizing up if I can keep seeing more consistency. But I'm very happy that out of all of the trades, only one of them was a red trade. That's pretty good. But look at this average dollar gain is, I mean, in terms of like percentage, okay, it's like 3 times as large as my one that wasn't profitable. But I mean, we're not talking with very much money here. I can be doing a lot better. It would be something if I was just trading according to my dollar risk level, but it's not the case. I need to really size up. My average percent gain isn't that nice. I definitely could have done better with INTK. And, in terms of difference again with my average percent loss is nice. The one setup that I did lose, I did trade. And I actually did stick to my dollar risk level, just a slightly higher position, but that's not really a big deal. This is relatively the same. Trading $1,400 of volume, I made 20 bucks, which is 1.4%, which is nice because not all setups are going to play out, but I want to see that get much higher in the twos or the threes. And yeah, with that in mind, at least the trades I took in theory, I could trade, I believe all of them with a much larger position size, 10x my position size. Something that can help me with in the future. But yeah, definitely. Let's go over these trades. I definitely just need to size up and, not be so scared of taking a red trade or, a loss, especially with the little amount of money that I'm trading, and just seriously stick to my dollar risk level. Looks like a lot of these are morning panic bounce plays. Let's look at some ILUS for the 14th, and this was a morning panic bounce play. 14th is right here. Not a bad red day to consider a morning panic bounce play because it's a lot larger than these others, and there is also a very nice amount of volume, so that's something really good to look at. Let's probably zoom in a bit more, and this was it probably. I was in at 933. I was in at 13.3. 933 was right here, 13.3. Okay, so I had a really good entry right here for the morning panic bounce play. It dropped from this 15-ish level, got as low as 13. I got in here, probably a level 2 reversal. Let's see what my sell was, and something that I have been doing is selling pieces. And this one ended up being a partial fill, so I didn't trade my entire position size. I think I was trying to get 3,000 or 4,000 shares here, which would have been a lot nicer. Probably 4,000, maybe 3,000, but yeah, at least in this one, I tried to trade my, risk level, but I just didn't get filled completely. I was out at 13.5 at 933. It looks like the same inning actually. So yeah, 13.5. I basically got in right here, and I sold right here. I could have tried to hold for VWAP at 13.8, but if I remember this, I just did not really hold on to the trade and, traded the best that I could have, because of the fact that I had a partial fill and then I didn't take it seriously. I learned from that in the future, and I guess I might as well add it right here since that was a good lesson. If you get a partial fill, still take the trade seriously. I'll probably fix that so it fixes in the bots, but yeah, that was the first trade there. It did get as high as, what was the high here? I guess 14 if you want to count the wick, but realistically, You know, plenty of chance to sell at 13.6 or their goal here at VWAP at 13.85. Let's just see what best case that could have been. Maybe I sold at 13.6 averaged out and I had 4,000 shares. That would have been pretty nice. But again, I can't get too upset because I had a partial fill, but you know, I should still take the trade seriously and not, you know, immediately get out of it just because it didn't, you know, play out the way I wanted in terms of how many shares I was able to get. That's a pretty good lesson because the experience is still there whether you trade a large size or not. Let's look at the next trade, which is DAVE. This one I said I really traded it well for a morning panic bounce play. Let's look at Dave for the 14th, and this was also a morning panic bounce play, but this was a listed stock. And as you can see, it's still downtrending too. Well, let's look at the 14th. This was it right here. I was in at 945, 706. 945 was right here. Right here, 706. I got in. I remember this one. I didn't trade it because I saw it ahead of time. Tim actually alerted that he was in this trade, and I saw the same setup that he saw. I wasn't like following his alert. I just saw his alert that, you know, he was in this trade. I saw the same setup and I was in it. It wasn't that I was just copying his entries and exits. I just saw the same thing and got in. But this one, as you can see, did not work out. And that's not a surprise, especially if it's a listed stock and it's higher priced. I was out 702. And I did follow my dollar risk level of $5 on listed stocks. I got out at 702 and a half at 947. 947 right here. I got out 702 and a half. I just didn't like the price action. I'm not some genie who sold it right before it fell off a cliff. It was just slowly downtrending and it was breaking support. And then when it started breaking to the round number of $7, I got out before it breaks it. And that saved me from, you know, having a much worse loss. Whenever I trade, you know, in this case it was a little different. A morning panic bounce play and I'm risking the day low. I'm going to get out before it breaks it, even if it actually ends up holding it in the uptrends. If it looks like it's going to break it, I'm going to get out. And in this case, I made it $7 because it was a nice round number, a very, you know, considerable price, considering, you know, just basic psychology, just a round number of 7. And that did save me from, again, a really bad sell into, let's just say 689, how that would have been. Yeah, that would have stunk. And that would have been a full-sized loss, you know, in terms of following my risk level. And you see how it would have been much larger than most of these other trades. So definitely need to stick to my dollar risk level and take that more seriously. Maybe I'll stack like $300 on my desk instead of $200 and not be afraid to trade a larger size, because literally my average dollar position size was just under 200 bucks. So let's go to the next one. Dave, I did try the morning panic bounce play again, and it seems like this one did work out, but the issue is that I only traded one share to see if it works and some experience. I don't mind that too much, just because of the fact I lose a lot of confidence if I try a morning panic bounce play and it doesn't work on the setup on a certain day. But in this case, I tried it one more time. It did work the second time. I don't regret that. If this was my first and only trade and I did one share, I would be pretty upset with myself. Let's look at Dave, and since it's the same time and everything, I was in at 628 at 10:05. 628, 10:05. Right here was my entry at 628. Right here was my entry, the bottom of this green candle, and it actually was turning around here. It actually, you know, got to the 660s, so that would not have been that bad. And I sold at 640, 10:06 right here. So, you know, right here was my sell. And this one did trade with a bit of a spread. Sure, it got to the 660s, but I think it would have been kind of hard to sell there, just because of the way it would trade with a large spread. I'm very happy with the way I traded it overall, except that I think I had a trend line. Let me just briefly try to draw a trend line if I can remember how. I think my plan for this trade was to get out if it breaks it. And I think the way I had it, obviously not the same here on TD Immediate Trade, is that I should have been out in this candle, but instead I sold right here. Again, just me being very scared. I'm not going to be too hard on myself, but whenever I try a morning panic bounce play, I do try to draw a trend line to see if it will follow it, especially if it's, uptrend a little bit under VWAP or maybe above it. But again, the way this one failed and then it just fell off a cliff, I was worried that if I wait for the trend line to break, it's going to have a big red candle, which is why I sold kind of early. But again, even though it got to the 660s, it would have been very hard to sell there. I'm overall happy with that. Sure, I wish I traded, my full size, but I don't regret it too much again because it was the second time. It wasn't the first try on a morning panic bounce play for that day with Dave. So that was the case there. And just out of curiosity, what would have been a sell at 640 with 25 shares? Yeah, that would have been a lot nicer. And best case scenario, or if anything, impossible case, it offered 5%. Okay. Yeah, not the best setup, but I'm glad I tried it again just to get the experience out of it. Let's look at ILUS, morning panic bounce play odd. Let's look at the 15th for ILUS. 15th is right here, first green day after this downtrend, lots of volume. I liked this one because it played off of the 10-cent level. Let's look at the 15th. You can see how nice of an uptrend this one is. If I keep getting better, eventually I'd like to be able to hold on to these for multiple days because they seem to offer, a nice opportunity, especially with ILUS when it played off at this very important 10-cent level. I was in, and looks like I wasn't really close to my dollar risk level. I did trade a $12 risk level, but I probably thought it was nice of a setup that I should have traded 10 or 15,000 shares, right? Maybe not 15, maybe 10. Yeah, 10,000 shares would have been a lot more ideal, but that's fine. Let's just take a look at it. I was in at 935 at 995. 935 right here, 995. Right here was my entry. I saw the morning panic bounce play. I saw this weird price action. This is why I put it was a weird morning panic bounce play because first it was just trying to consolidate. Right, but then it just broke this level here. I like how it broke under 10 cents, a downtrend, and then it started to come back immediately, and that maybe it broke 10 cents, and then all the people are freaking out because it's again like $7 with Dave, a psychological number. It breaks it, but then it immediately comes back, and that's why I got in when it was, maybe not at the bottom, but once I saw that it got to a bottom and started coming back, I was in it, and I was gonna get out if it were to have broken the bottom, but that was the case there with this trade right here. Very happy with my entry. I got out 3 minutes later. I guess 2.5 minutes at 9:38. 10:17 was my average right here. This red candle, 10:17. This is when I got out of everything. I did sell in pieces, I believe. No, actually, this one I don't think I did. Oh yeah, I did. I sold half at VWAP. Okay, I'll try to go over this without being too technical. But the idea is that when we get a morning panic bounce play and I'm in a position, I want to sell immediately half at VWAP if it gets to VWAP or maybe right under it. And then normally it trades a certain range under VWAP or at VWAP. And then if it breaks under that range, I'll get out of it. Or maybe I'll risk the day low or my entry depending on how the setup is. And if it breaks past it, I want to sell into that, the other half. So ideally, I'm in right here. I sell half at VWAP. And then if it were to have broken under here, I would have gotten out. But in this case, it broke above it. I would have tried selling the other half at like this 10-4 level. And I didn't do that. I sold a half at VWAP, and then I sold the other half at this one right here at 9:38, the other half, and what was my issue was that I saw it was failing VWAP, but I didn't take into consideration the range. I just saw that it was failing VWAP. I should have waited for it to have this certain range, and if it were to have broken it, which was give or take this 10 or 9 cent level, I should have gone out. I shouldn't have gone out, saying it's going to fail VWAP because it was just one more minute, in this range before it broke past it, and it did a really nice move. So that pretty much summarizes that. And this one continued to make a nice move into the 13s, which would have been a 30% move. So this one really worked out, at least for a longer term position. And I might even try to be a part of a morning panic bounce play and just hold like a tiny position left just to see if it can do stuff like this. But this doesn't happen all that much. This one was pretty impressive. Again, it tried pretty hard to turn around, and that was something that you don't get all the time. So this one was not too bad. This was a great learning experience. I need to again try to do better on my selling overall with morning panic bounce plays. Now, speaking of morning panic bounce plays, let's look at one that wasn't perfect. Let's look at HNBL for the 15th. You can see I have a trend line here. I'm just watching this to see if it's gonna just break it eventually and maybe uptrend, but maybe the stock is too dead for something like that. Yeah, it just keeps falling, but the volume is uptrending, very similar to ILUS. Let's look at the 15th, which was this day right here. Looks like it did a much nicer move on the 16th. Right here. I was in at 948, 1441. 948. So notice how it's a bit later in the day, not very ideal. 1441. I got in right here because I saw this morning panic bounce play. I wanted it to downtrend actually and get near the day low to wipe out the toxicity because there was like a lot of people with size on the ask. But because it looked like it was going to break the top of this range right here, I got in the setup for that reason right here, right before it made this uptrend. And when I saw this like low, volume, kind of sketchy, like uptrend, and the level 2 lifted up, I sold into that. That was the next minute when I sold at 14.5. Right here, I sold at 14.5, which didn't look that nice at the time, especially because I was in at 14.41. So a small difference, but yeah, it did eventually fail and break this low right here. It didn't break the day low here, but it just, didn't really play out. And that makes sense because it doesn't have the best daily chart, and there was also a lot of people with size at the ask. Let me get a drink of water. I'll be back. We just have 4 more trades, and 3 of them was with ILUS. All right, let's look at ILUS for the 15th, and this was you see this big no? I did not trade this one. I did not trade this one well. I traded this one terribly. And that was because I did not realize that I had a position overnight. Let's look at ILUS for the 15th. Again, we'll just briefly go over it since I think it was the same day as the other ILUS trade. Yeah, it was the same day that I traded that. Okay. In this case, I'm probably going to just do it from here and highlight a bit into the next day, but in theory, this was it. 939, 940. Okay, I have the times wrong right here, so I'll actually come back and make sure I have the right time because I know that's not right. Alright, I am back and I have the right time. So again, going with what I thought with ILUS, in that it was looking like it played off of the 10-cent level, nice volume. It could try to turn around and do something really cool, especially with the run-up. I was in, and at the right time was 339 at 13,475. So let's look at 339, which was right here at 13,47. So right about, let me make sure I have that. Yeah, 13,475, because it was an average. In theory, I got in right here, after seeing this nice run up and everything after the morning panic bounce play that I took. It had this downtrend here, but it made a higher low. This would have been a more ideal point, but I wanted to buy and hold overnight because I thought, okay, just had a nice green day, nice reversal. People are going to promote it. IOUS is coming back, and that would have been, something that I wanted to be a part of. And I was in originally at, again, 339 right here. And I'm going to guess I was in at this 13.3 level. And when I got in, there was immediately this big spike. I didn't like it one bit. And I thought I sold my 100 shares, a very small position at 13.6. But it turns out I fat fingered. Instead of selling, I bought 100 more shares. So I thought I was completely out of this position. And then we started getting this, which I traded later this morning, panic bounce play too. No, actually, I didn't trade it because I got messed up with this thing. When it started the downtrend here for a potential morning panic bounce play, right? I just like, what? I realized that I had 200 shares. And that's when I sold at 933 at 1349. Just a small difference. I actually made money barely. Just a small difference at 933 right here at what was it, 1349. I guess, yeah, the very top of this candle almost was when I sold. Again, me being in right here and then buying right here, and then I sold right there at this 33 level. The setup worked. If I knew I had 200 shares and I didn't sell because of this quick spike I had right here that threw me off, I wanted it to just consolidate or just, just not do anything like that crazy. And I remember here somebody bought or sold like $1 million, I think, worth of shares. If I were to have sold immediately at the market open, I would have been very profitable. Let's just see what I sell at 14.5 would have been, or if not 14.4. Yeah, that would have been a nice percent gain, and that would have been with just 200 shares, which is puny. This setup worked out. Nice percent gain. I just didn't realize that I had those 200 shares. I thought I sold my 100 shares immediately. Fat finger mistake. That's why my ranking here isn't as nice, because I had a big no, and that, I really make it something that punishes a lot. This is like, the point scale. This is a -1. So yeah, big lesson with that. Let's look at IOUS, second dip under VWAP for the 16th. Let's look at the 16th. Oh, so it was this, but I didn't trade the initial morning panic bounce point. I don't know. Let's just take a look. 16th. Small reversal day attempt. And we'll just highlight half of the day. Again, I missed this morning panic bounce point. In theory, it could have been in here or here. I just didn't. I didn't trade it because I got thrown off with those 200 shares that I had to sell. I was in at 1054, 1398. 1054 right here at 1398. So I was in right here. And I thought, okay, this is the first dip under VWAP, the morning panic bounce play, nice uptrend. Comes back again with the whole thing in mind that I might try to reverse over the next few days. Let me be in right here under this VWAP level again at this price again, and I would have cut it if it were to have broken this level for sure. And I was in at 1054. I sold 5 minutes later, 1059 at 1402. 1059, 1402. Right here was my sell. So not much. And you can see it didn't really do anything. It just, consolidated. It wasn't like anything impressive. It didn't do anything super nice. It just didn't really work out here. And I mean, sure, it eventually tried to get to the 14.5 level, but I wanted it to be something in that, it has a dip under VWAP, the morning panic, it uptrends, and then it's here, and then it uptrends again. We didn't get that. We just had this consolidation, so I didn't make very much, but I think this was a pretty cool attempt. It was a scratch, as I said right there. If I held it longer, it would have worked out, but the longer you hold it, the more risk there is. So I think I traded this the best that I could, other than the fact that, again, I wasn't following. My dollar risk level, which in this case would have been 4,000 shares. That would have been slightly more profitable because it didn't really work out, but I need to really do that. Let's look at ILUS. First dip at VWAP for the 17th. Could you guess what my favorite stock is to trade? Probably ILUS, right? Or is it HMBL? No, dude. ILUS. Let's look at ILUS and my entry at 940, 1534. So let me zoom in a bit more. 940 right here and 1534. Right here was my entry at 940. Let me zoom in a bit more. So this is what I thought. No morning panic bounce play here, but I like how I had this crazy spike, right? It kind of broke out of this range. If I saw this then and there, I would have considered a buy when it broke this level right here and it made a nice run. I've seen this happen multiple times. 1491, so 15, and it gets to 1587. I guess it's not that nice, but looking at the chart, sure does. And then it downtrended, right? I've always seen this thing where it uptrends a lot and then it has a quick drop towards VWAP and then it holds, right? Ideally, if it doesn't hold, I cut it. Right here is where I would have cut it at 15.2, and I'm in at this 15.3 level. So it's just like risking $1, right? Just barely anything. Yeah, I should have traded again. 4,000 shares. And that would have made this one pretty profitable. So I need to really just do that. But that was the idea here. That it had a quick drop towards VWAP. If it holds it, I'm going to sell into the spike. And I did really well selling this one. I just didn't have the right size. At 943, I was completely out at 1554. 943, right? Yeah, 943. Right here, and 1554 was my average. So right here on average, I probably sold a piece maybe here and then another piece here, and my average ended up being at 1554. It downtrended. It had like one more chance to maybe sell for break even, but it did downtrend even more to where I would have cut it. This thing offered opportunity. I just didn't trade the right size, and it's not like I wasn't able to, because look at the amount of volume. Plenty of chance for me to have traded a larger position. I was just not trading enough size, and that's again something I need to really work on. And I don't want to take a full size to trade and then it ends up being a loser, and then everything else I didn't trade my full size. I gotta get better at that. I just I don't know. I'm probably gonna get like, I have two $100 bills on my desk to help me trade larger. Maybe I'll put $1,000 if that will help me, you know, be less chicken and trade more size. Let's look at the last trade. This one was nice. I didn't trade this one the best that I could have. But let's look at INTK for the 18th. Really nice daily chart. About time we have something that isn't just a dead stock like HMBL. Very nice. Let's look at the 18th right here. I'll highlight it from here. And this was like a late morning panic bounce play. As you can see, the time period still before 10 a.m., but not like 9:34, which is when I normally do it. This one just had a nice sell-off, had a nice run-up, so I thought, okay, this could really bounce because there could be a lot of people who are seeing this go all the way up and they want to be a part of it, but they don't want to chase it. Has this nice sell-off here. This could be a potential for a nice reversal with all those people dip buying, trying to get in their positions, people like me who are just day trading it. This one offered a really nice move. I didn't trade this one the best that I could have. I was in at 956 at 36. Really killer entry at 36. Really happy with that entry. Really happy. And again, I would have cut it if it were to have broken the day low, or at least looked like it was going to. And I got out 957. My average was 368. 368. Yeah, right here was my sell. Entry here, my sell here. The thing got to 41. What I should have done here is that, you know, it had an uptrend. And I know I can be a little loose with my rules here because this happened later in the day, but I did have a trend line right here, so when it broke it, I sold everything else that I had at what was it? 9:57, actually the same minute. I just did not trade this one the best that I could have. And then I got interrupted right here, so I didn't have a chance to really try it again. But, you know, in the future, if I get a setup like this, I'm going to get in here. I'm probably going to draw a trend line from here to here, and then this one's going to break it. So I'll still have my position. And then this is trading this little range. I can risk the range, so if it breaks then I'll get out the other half, and I'll still be able to be profitable unless it drops a lot, with my entry at 36. Or I can risk my entry, which I never got to, or even the day low, which is my original risk level. And then it started the uptrend right here. I'd sell the other half when it got to VWAP, and this one was impressive. I could have done a lot better. I don't mind my first sell here at maybe 37, right? But I should have held the other half for VWAP. So 37 and 40. Let's just see what a sell at 38 and a half would have been. That would have been super nice. And I didn't even follow my dollar risk level. I probably would have stuck to $10 because it was later in the day. But, not that. That would have been nice, 25 bucks. And again, not selling, at the very tippy top, but like selling a piece here when it breaks the trend line here, and then having that risk level, either the range here, my entry, or my original risk level, depending on the setup. In this case, because it was a bit scary and later in the day, I might have risked this 36.8 level that I was holding. And then the other sell at 40, which is VWAP. It was at the bid here and here. So it would have been plenty of time to have done something like that. And then on average, it would have been a sell at 38.5. I can totally do that. I need to size up on my positions. And I need to also sell half of my positions on regular morning panic bounce plays at VWAP, and then hold the other half, risking that range low, in most cases, or maybe my entry or even my original risk level the day low. If I can trade larger and sell better with those two things in mind, and if there are opportunities, I can be a lot more profitable. And I need to size up. I can't be trading $150 positions. I've practiced this a lot, and I just need to not just undermine myself and try doing a little more. And if all the setups I take next week don't work out, they're all losers, and I take full size losses. Too bad. That's trading. That's all I have for this week. I'm gonna call it off right here. Definitely need to get better at those two things. I hope any of you who are watching this can learn from this and maybe learn faster than I am. That's all I have.